Hello everyone and welcome back to Navis Nobilite. I am Captain Zelnick and today we are going to be doing a brief overview of the Tyranid list. I was actually hoping to make the Tyranids the very last fleet that I would end up doing an overview of because at least in my own hands I have the least experience with Tyranids. I only have experience facing against them. And from what I can say about that, facing off against Tyranids is one of those rare moments where it actually feels like you're about to be eaten by a bunch of star-spawned horrors that legitimately don't have any care about your feelings. So when you are fighting against a Tyranid player, especially a good Tyranid player, you will feel the pressure almost immediately. It's almost like you have this moment of, oh, they're so slow and their range is so short, and I can simply, take my time to shoot them from long away. And then after a couple of turns, you realize that the sheer overwhelming numbers of the Tyranid fleet, especially its escorts and launch capacity, have boxed you into a corner. And the next round, you're going to have things that are going to simply tear your ships into tiny little pieces and then eat the pieces while laughing at you in star spawned horror. It's unpleasant. Playing as the Tyranids is ironically one of the hardest things to do in Battlefleet Gothic, partially because a lot of the rules regarding leadership are different, but mostly it's because you have to find a way to manage bazillions of little escorts and ordnance. You may only have a couple of Tyranid cruisers or a hive ship or two. Those are easy. The problem are the escorts. You have a lot of them, and you need a lot of them. The fleet is meant to be very much heavily dependent on a very heavy escort presence to, in effect, choke your enemy to death as you ram those escorts down their throat. Tyranids are a build-a-ship fleet. You customize them in any way you see fit. There are a lot of ways to build them, either for a shooty army or for a boarding and feeder tentacle army. It's really up to you how you build them. There are a lot of different viabilities and different options that make them either really, really good, or you may find that some builds are disappointing. It's important that you read your rules and conceptualize what you want to do. Overall, the Tyranid list is generally pretty slow. They don't have giant fusion engines to push them through space. They just fart really hard, and that gets them through space. So when you look at their rules, you're going to find that, these guys are kind of slow and very, very lacking in maneuverability in some cases, especially in their escorts. What you have to accept is that you will have losses in the Tyranid list. But the moment that one of your little ships so much as flex the base of another ship, that ship is having a very bad day and will continue to have a bad day for the rest of the game. This fleet epitomizes the Tyranid aesthetic simply because you can build them any way you like. You can, of course, go and work with the old Tyranid ships if you want, but like these. But most people, specifically the two hive ships in the center, and some of these escorts over here are the originals. But most people just take their old Tyranid bits and build out of them whatever they want, and they've created some truly spectacular things. So that's the Tyranids in a broad overview. Now, there's also a big upgrade chart because with the Tyranids that can be used in campaigns, but it can also be used in one-off games if you get permission from the other player who wants a significantly greater challenge. Tyranids without these upgrades are still a problem. But if you allow the Tyranid player to use them, it goes from hard mode to nightmare mode really quickly. You suddenly have hive ships that are bigger and meaner than any other battleship in the game. You have ships that ignore rules or gain advantages that you're not expecting, and they become a nightmare. And that's really what they're meant to be. They're particularly good against any fleet that have slow-moving ships like them. Even fast-moving fleets have a lot of problems with them. If you're playing against Tyranids, you're going to have the most luck with playing as Necrons, which is a little ironic because the Necrons are very weak against boarding, but the Necrons also have the ability to run away very fast. Imperial Navy and their Nova cannons will do some good work, but you're going to have problems the moment they reach your lines. Chaos actually has the best luck with them, with the overwhelming numbers of assault boats, which, while are less efficient in the current setup of the Tyranids, are still good at killing their Kraken escorts. Tau are the only fleet that can actively match them, or at the very least mitigate them in the Ordnance game. Tyranids will overwhelm everybody in the Ordnance game, except for the Tau if they are built properly. But what you will find is that Tyranids, generally speaking, don't have a lot of problems eating everyone else in the game. So, I'll be getting onto the ships now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video.